To 100% 60 seconds, I'll need to learn how to grab the best items in the minute before the nuke goes off, survive with those items for over 100 days in my bomb shelter, not go crazy, starve, get raided by bandits, attacked by government agents, aliens, mad scientists, or killer cats, get all 60 achievements, beat every mode on the hardest difficulty, rebuild this ice cream truck, this tank, and turn my daughter into this horrifying nuclear mutant. Oh yeah, this game is weird. I 100% did 60 seconds. The game starts and I'm informed that the Soviets will be dropping a nuke on us, so we've only got 60 seconds to grab everything we can from around our house to survive in our bomb shelter for the foreseeable future. While I scamper around my house, I can only hold 4 items before needing to drop the supplies off inside the shelter. Some items, like the rifle, are actually so big that they take up 2 hand slots though, so I need to tactfully choose what I decide to save. I make sure to grab a ton of food, water, my wife, my daughter, and this padlock. But right as my time is almost up, I realize there's something very important that I forgot. Timmy, where are you? Timmy! There he is! Oh god. And the axe. Oh, survival's overrated. Oh, I died. Oh no, I couldn't find Timmy, man. I don't know. I died on my very first attempt. I load into a new attempt and try again. I haven't the faintest clue how useful each of these items will be, so I go mostly off vibe, which is why I start off by going for man's 4 basic needs: water, self-defense, love, and briefcase. However, I still have trouble getting all my family members and food together before the time runs out, so I need to take a couple attempts before finally making it to the shelter at the timer. For my generosity and not letting anyone in my family succumb to the nuclear fallout, I earned the Family Guy achievement. In addition to them, I grabbed an axe, the Boy Scout handbook, the padlock, the briefcase, the map, 6 bottles of water, and 4 cans of food. Additionally, inside of the briefcase held an extra round of ammunition and a gas mask. So that's everything I'll have to survive in this shelter for the next few months. The way this game works is every day you're first given a status report on everyone. Maybe they're hungry, sick, going insane, etc. Then we have the chance to give out food and water to all of them. However, with just a couple of cans of soup and water, we can't afford to feed and drink the whole family every day, so we have to skip that for the first few. We'll have to do the good old suck on your saliva trick that my mom finally admitted last year never works. Then on the final page of your journal, there'll be some kind of event encounter. Like on day 2, where we find our daughter, Mary Jane's diary, and Ted wants to read it out in front of the whole shelter? We're literally 2 days in and the family has already resorted to psychological warfare. I say no, which Mary Jane appreciates, but then she sets her entire diary on fire and feeds it to a rat. Maybe I should have read that. On day 3, everyone is thirsty, so I give them all some water. Luckily, a single bottle provides 4 servings of water for the whole family. Then I'm given the option to send someone to the surface for an expedition, and since I foolishly only bought 4 cans of soup for the entirety of our bomb shelter stay, I decide to send my lovely wife Dolores out. Can't think of a more fatherly activity than planning poorly and immediately pushing all responsibility onto your wife. With Dolores out on her surface expedition, it'll just be Ted and the 2 kids for the next couple days. And right as our mother leaves, the house immediately becomes a disgusting mess as we discover some mushrooms growing out of the wall that Ted is tempted to eat. You made it to 40 years old and you aren't sure if you should eat the wall mushrooms, Ted? I deny Ted's genuinely insane request, and we get the achievement for surviving 5 days in the shelter. Unfortunately though, day 5 is sweet Mary Jane's birthday, and we don't have any of the playing cards, bug spray, or medical kit that she asked for. On day 7, everyone is hungry and thirsty, so they all get a serving of food and water. I was approached by a man we didn't know. He offered us a card game for a bet. Okay, well I don't have cards, so sorry gambler. I didn't realize there were so many things I was supposed to grab. I was focused on food, water, and my children. Oh, Dolores don't look so good. And she ripped our gas mask! Dolores. We were glad to see Dolores came back safely. It was difficult to tell right and left in all the rubble that our town turned into. We found our way to the gas station where it used to be. Oh, nice. She got some food, a few waters. Oh, and she got more! In addition to all the supplies, the expedition gave me the idea to try and drive away from this nightmare. So on future expeditions, we'll be on the lookout for a car. But you know what I'm on the lookout for? The kind of sick, twisted being that would watch my videos and not subscribe to the channel. What is wrong with you? Every unsubscribed viewer means that the CEO of YouTube, Neil Mohan, personally comes into my house and karate chops me in the throat. You think you're subscribed because you click on all my videos, yet the button stays white and I stay tortured. Please make it stop. Dolores is hungry and thirsty from our expedition, so I replenish her with both. Then my magic journal tells me my family will get sick if they don't wash themselves, and I'm given the option of using the gas mask that Dolores broke, the bug spray, and the bullets. I decide to use the bug spray, which Ted plasters on everyone's skin. I am genuinely surprised at this point that Ted was able to create children. But with our rated up family all happy, we're able to get the achievement for surviving to day 10. Here we get a prompt that says no matter how long we can survive here, we'll eventually need someone to come rescue us, so we'll need to use the radio to find them. Unfortunately, I did not grab the radio, but I'll gladly trade Ted for one in a second if given the option. When conducting our daily supply count, we've noticed that a soup can was missing. We're absolutely sure it was just there yesterday. That can only mean one thing. We have a soup thief. Well, because of this little stinky drawing, I feel like it's Timmy. At first, Timmy denied it all, while, but he broke and eventually spinned the beans. Dude, oh my god, Timmy, you suck. Timmy, oh my god, why would you do such a thing? You're horrible. Timmy's mistake leaves us with just 2 cans of soup left, which means it's time to send someone to the surface. Of course, I have to send Timmy to punish him for his sins. Normally, family members can take a single item to help them on their expedition, but if you give them the briefcase, they can carry more. I give Timmy an axe for protection, as well as the Boy Scout handbook he's always staring at for some reason. On day 14, we hear a phone ringing outside the shelter, so I send my healthiest family member, Dolores, to go get it. And yes, you heard that right. Despite just returning from a nuclear wasteland expedition, Dolores is healthier than Ted and Mary Jane, who have just sat here the entire time trying not to suck on wall mushrooms. When we answered the phone, we could clearly hear a gasp of relief from the caller. They introduced themselves as survivors from a nearby town of Hill Valley. Started exchanging information when the call was cut short. Something must have gone wrong on their side. We hope they get back to us. So we'll have to see if we can make contact with those survivors again soon. In the meantime, I give Ted and Mary Jane another helping of food and water, which almost entirely drains my soup supply. Which only gets worse when we find a bunny beast hiding in our pipe. But unfortunately, I did not grab the gun and Timmy has our axe. This leaves us defenseless to the critter as it chews through our last full can of soup, meaning we've just got 1 serving left. Timmy really has got to save us here. The invert today is, okay, I get it. The radio is important. I will get the radio next time, okay, game? On day 18, Timmy's returned, but oh god. Oh, Timmy don't look so good. Oh no. We were afraid for Timmy, but he came back from the wasteland and is safe with us now. He came across a local church. And unlike most churches that just have boring songs and ethically questionable tax breaks, this one actually had a can of soup and 2 water bottles for Timmy to snag. However, not only did he manage to break the briefcase and the Boy Scout manual, but he is now sick and tired. While his tiredness will go away naturally over time, in order to heal his sickness, we'll have to get our hands on a med kit. But on the bright side, someone anonymously left a suitcase at our door, which could give us some free stuff, and it contained illness. It was a suitcase of illness. Desperate on healing for Timmy and also Ted now, I send Mary Jane on an expedition with a bottle of water to hopefully let her stay out longer. Timmy didn't say a word about when he was outside. He scratched his hand on a wire or some rusty piece of metal. You're gonna cut it. Okay, I guess he could have cut his arm off or something, right? Timmy was very brave about the idea of cleaning up his wound with a heated axe blade. It's a bit painful, but it was soon over. Oh my god. Wait, what did you do? The hell? Why don't you just wash the axe off? Yeah, to this day, I have no idea what happened here. Like, at first, I thought they were gonna amputate his hand, but, like, kinda seems like he still has both of them. So they used the axe to clean the wound? Is that even something you can do? And what about this process would render the axe unusable? And on top of all that, this somehow cured his sickness? This axe holds the secrets of the entire universe and we're throwing it in the trash? I guess Timmy surviving through pneumonia and an amputated hand wasn't even enough to make him 2% more careful though, as he immediately asked to set up a mutated ant farm. These people do not deserve to survive. But you know what you deserve? Some of the beautiful jewelry from the sponsor of today's video, Holzkern. Look, with the holidays coming up, we all have that man in our life we have no idea what to get. Whenever you ask your dad what he wants, he just answers some peace and quiet, which lost any semblance of humor 20 years ago. But a man could always use another watch, especially the beautiful ones from Holzkern. Their bread and butter are these watches made from wood that just look like nothing else on the market. Whenever I wear mine out, I get tons of compliments on it. They're even made from natural materials, making each piece on their site unique. If watches aren't your old man's thing, they have a bunch of other cool wooden accessories. I mean, look at these sunglasses they sent me. I genuinely wear them all the time. I love the look. And they use wood that is FSC certified, as Holzkern is engaged against deforestation. Maybe you don't have a man in your life you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for something for your girlfriend. For your girlfriend. I'm sorry, the concept of a Shawnee viewer having a girlfriend was just too much for me. Maybe you're looking for something special for your mother. Well then, fear not, as Holzkern also has tons of beautiful jewelry sets, like these earrings that Tuesday wears out all the time. Unlike a lot of other fashion brands, Holzkern products are produced in small quantities, meaning each item has a high standard of quality. Plus, for limited time only, Holzkern is having their biggest sale of the year, where you can get up to an exclusive 30% off by clicking the link in my description or pinned comment. So what are you waiting for? Head to the description down below and find the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. And thanks to Holzkern for sponsoring today's video. I decided to side with Timmy on the ant farm issue over Dolores, seeing as he's in worst health, so I figured he could use the confidence boost. And much to my surprise, Timmy is able to teach the ant how to do a salto, and everyone was impressed and clapped. Guess I know less about this world than I thought. By day 22, people are hungry and we've completely run out of food. And even worse than that, on day 23, Timmy has grown the most atrocious afro. On day 24, we're visited by a young woman who turns out to be the head of the survivor group that we spoke to on the phone. She's asking for us to help her out as her twin brother has gone missing in a bandit hideout. Feeling bad, I send Dolores to lend a hand to her. On day 25, not only does Dolores make it back home, but so does Mary Jane. Oh my god, what the heck happened to her? Oh my god. Oh my god, poor girl. Oh, she got a gas mask though, it seems like. But before we get to that, let me touch on Dolores' trip. The woman called a group of survivors together and we all raided the Bandit base and saved her twin. She said she would contact us again soon as a thank you, which might just be our way out of here. And the good news don't stop there, as Mary Jane went on our most successful expedition yet, gathering 4 soup cans, 4 bottles of water, a radio, a med kit, and a gas mask. This expedition alone is going to more than double our survival time. In fact, I think this is more food and water than we even started with. As a thank you for her amazing journey, I used the med kit on Mary Jane to cure her, as well as a dose of food and water. Mary Jane's expedition also had her spot a vehicle down the street, which I sent Dolores to take a look at. Turns out it wasn't a trap, and instead is a rusty tank. It's currently non-operational, but if we manage to fix it up, we could drive away from this madness. Interesting. With Mary Jane now home, I decided to send someone else out for an expedition, so I send the always reliable Dolores with a bottle of water, which seemed to work last time. A couple days go by until day 29, where the family starts to hear strange noises from the pipes. They need to relax by playing a game, but unfortunately I lack both the checkerboard and the deck of cards, which gives us quite the surprise on day 30. Uh-oh. Everyone's going insane. Look, Ted's got a sock puppet. Mary Jane's doing the funky chicken. Yes, by not having either of the games, we have failed the event and caused them all to go insane, which I will soon learn is just about the worst status condition for your family to be inflicted with, right next to Disney Adult on the ranking list. I'm not sure how to cure their declining sanity, so I tried giving them both an extra helping of soup. On the bright side, with the radio that Mary Jane brought home, we can finally reach out to the government, who said they're gonna try and rescue us soon. But on the even brighter side, on day 31, Dolores has returned, though she is sick. When we found the toilets, we did not hesitate to fill up as many bottles as we could with that murky, irritated liquid. Ew! And she wonders why she got sick. Dolores managed to bring home just 2 bottles of water and a can of bug spray, leaving her journey more than disappointing. Even worse than that, it appears some stalkers followed Dolores' expedition, so we'll need to be careful on future expeditions. Advice I immediately do not follow, and I send Mary Jane out again. But perhaps it's a good thing I did, as a furry rodent then attacks our food supply, and without an axe or rifle to shoo it off with, we lose our last remaining can of food. Don't worry though, because all the expeditions have given us 7 bottles of water, so the second we can figure out how to eat water, we'll be all set. It's never a good time to go out in the radioactive wasteland, but now it seems like a complete necessity in the new world of ours. We thought it might be a good idea to make this happen sooner rather than later and planned a trip outside. Before we could make the third step beyond the shelter doors, an unknown creature started growling at us in the darkness. I'm gonna kill it with the bug spray. Remember this moment, as it will end up being one of my biggest regrets of the entire playthrough later on. Everyone is starving, but with no soup to distribute, I'm forced to just sit and watch them suffer. If that wasn't enough, the incredibly kind twin survivors return and ask us to lend them an axe. Well, I don't have an axe, because of freaking little Timmy. Axe is really important, apparently. Ted and Dolores argue about everything lately. Today's heated argument is about who should empty the bucket in the corner. Both of them swear it's not their turn. Somebody has to cave and do it, but who? Well, they're both insane and they're both insanely sick. Ted, you know, you're the man of the house. You should do that. Ted just dead. He's already sick. Can't get much worse. Dolores admitted it was her turn to take out the bucket, but she said she was feeling a little under the weather. Ted felt bad for her and agreed to do it this time. In return, Dolores promised to laugh at Ted's jokes the whole evening. Aww, that didn't make him uninsane. If a woman fake laughing at your unfunny jokes is not enough to make a man regain his sanity, then I'm gonna have to let my girlfriend know it's time for me to get a real therapist. A door-to-door salesman comes to us today and asks us to join something called Astro Citizen, which we refuse. But we do give him a bottle of water in exchange for what he calls state secrets, to which he tells us that America has a working space station, but it exploded when the bomb dropped. Okay? How does that help me? It's the middle of the apocalypse, man. You think I care about space? Oh, there's a working 7-Eleven in the middle of Russia. Oh, thanks, bro. Trader alert. Timmy's salvage comic books are mostly harmless science fiction pulp. However, some of them don't feature the brave Astro Citizen program astronauts, but cosmonauts. That boy's eating up Soviet propaganda. What a disgrace. Should we banish Timmy to the wasteland for his traitorous ways and dispose of his blasphemous comics? No! He's based. Uh-oh. Maybe we should have punished him. He read too much communist propaganda and now he's throwing up. But Timmy becoming a communist was far from the worst thing that would happen on day 39, as Ted's insanity gets the better of him, believing our gas mask to be a real person and beating it to a pulp. And even worse than that, Mary Jane has been gone for so long that we've no choice but to assume her dead. Missing, because having dead children in your game raises the age rating. So not only did we lose our admittedly least favorite family member, we've wasted all that time waiting on her return and still have no food. And everyone is already knee-deep into starvation. Amongst all this, Dolores and Ted begged to have just a moment alone, so they request to go on a picnic to the park, which I approve. But to the surprise of no one, one date with Ted has disastrous effects on Dolores. 40 days, let's go. Okay. Imagine having games so bad that you kill your partner. Yes, Dolores has unfortunately died of starvation, a face we will all face soon if we don't get some soup ASAP. But our choices for an expedition are pretty limited, with Timmy being too sick and tired for the trip, so we're forced to rely on the both insane and ill Ted. But as he leaves, I get very confused as the days just start passing, not letting me inside the shelter. What? And Timmy died while I was gone. Yeah, since Timmy died while Ted was away, there was no one in the shelter to check in on, hence why all those days passed. With the shelter completely unguarded, a bandit tried to break in, but luckily the padlock we had deterred them, saving this run. On the bright side, Ted managed to grab a single can of food, but since everyone else has died, at least it will last him 4 servings. He picked up some other miscellaneous items, most important of which being the axe, meaning that if the twins come back, we can finally help them out. The army also sends a radio broadcast asking us to leave a sign at a specific geographical coordinate for rescue, which luckily we can do because we still have the map. Alright, everyone died, but Ted, I'm still holding out hope on you, brother. Ted is hungry. Ted is coughing. Ted is losing it. I think he could make it. Maybe just, and we got raided by bandits, giving us our first game over. So it's time to start up another run. Oh, and in case it wasn't already obvious, I'm playing on the normal difficulty level. This time around, I have a bit more of a better sense on what is useful, so I make sure to grab the radio first and foremost. Mary Jane is definitely the most annoying family member to save, as she takes up 3 hand slots as opposed to 2, but based off of how quickly people died off last time, we need all the help we can get. Also make sure to grab the checkerboard, as Sandy really was the silent killer in the end. It's always a great idea to raid the kitchen as well, because there's tons of food and water laying around. With all the essentials grabbed, I pick up a gas mask, a rifle, and the savior of the last run, the padlock. And thusly, our second nuclear shelter journey has begun. Inside the shelter already were 2 of the game's most useful items, the map and the med kit. Unfortunately, I didn't grab a ton of water, but surely that won't be a problem. Grabbing the checkerboard proves to be immediately useful as I passed the sanity check on only our second day. With it now being day 3, I could start going on expeditions, but I realized that those very expeditions are what did me in last time. You see, every time you go outside, not only do you have a chance of the family member dying or breaking whatever you sent them out with, bandits will follow you around on your expedition, meaning each consecutive trip outside increases your chances of being raided. So I should only go on expeditions when I'm truly desperate. I also learned that just because someone's thirsty does not mean you need to water them. The way the water cycle works is actually very simple. After 3 days without water, the person always becomes thirsty. After 4 days, they become dehydrated. More often than not, this is always when you should give them water. You can technically stretch it out to 5 days, but it could cause additional issues like tiredness or sickness. Everything seems to be going great until on day 6, someone was playing with matches for some reason. This starts a small fire in our shelter, and are forced to either save the medkit or the radio. And as useful as the medkit is, you can't progress in the story without the radio, so I have to go with that. But miraculously, the medkit ends up being fine anyway. Not complaining. On day 7, our family starts tearing at the shelter's yellow wallpaper and asks to open the shelter door for just a few minutes. Out of fear for illness, I deny this request, which results in, of course, Ted going crazy. I love that Ted will always go out of his way to constantly prove he is the weakest member of the family. On day 8, we find a manhole in the back of the shelter, and I'm given the option to investigate it with a flashlight. I mean, sure, why not? What's the worst that could happen? And a giant mutated alligator bit Timmy's leg off. I give Timmy the med kit, and to hopefully replenish it, I send Dolores out into the wilds with the briefcase, the gas mask, and the gun. On day 12, I hear a government announcement over the radio saying all of the areas of Fallout are gone, making it much safer to go to the surface now. Probably should have waited for that before sending Dolores out there. What's that sound? A galloping horse. We rush to the door and greeted by 2 men dressed like they'd come from a medieval fair. We identified the source of the sound. One of them was holding 2 rocks and hitting. Oh my god, it's the Monty Python guys. I decided to graciously allow the knights to look at my map, to which they're kind enough to give me back the map undamaged and give us some free bullets. Dolores returned today as well and brought us an axe and 3 bottles of water, which is good because we only had 1 single sip left. On day 15, I've seemed to have forgotten my vow to go on less expeditions and immediately send Mary Jane back into the fray. On day 16, the family notices a set of mysterious directions on our map. I send Ted to check them, and it turns out to just be a cruel joke, which did not do anything for his already piss-poor sanity. The rat has returned again, but this time I kill it with my axe, saving our food supply. But what couldn't be saved is our map, as due to Ted's declining sanity, he decides to just rip it up, which is just awesome, as the very next day, the military calls us and said they're starting the rescue process. But we need, you guessed it, the map. Way to go, Ted. Because I didn't let you breathe in the toxic air from a nuclear bomb, we're all forever trapped in this shelter. And on day 22, Ted decides that he hasn't caused enough havoc, as he decides to fiddle with the radio and completely destroys it. Mary Jane comes in like the goat she is and saves the day, bringing us 3 cans of soup, 2 bottles of water, can of bug spray, and a new radio. It really is our family against Ted against the world. On day 23, despite having plenty of supplies, I decide to continue amassing them and send Timmy out on an expedition. Truly, nothing could describe consumerism in America more than this. Additionally, the twins return again and ask for help, so I send our weakest link to get the other twin back from the bandit, as I wouldn't dare subject the rest of the family to the horror that is twins. Day 27, I'm able to trade our ammunition for a can of soup, which which I immediately give to a sleazy-looking trader for a mysterious bag. I like to gamble. Find a new companion. What? Oh, a kitty! Oh my god, we got a kitty! Sharikov. Oh my god, that was so worth it. And I'm not the only one who loves our new feline companion, as the joy from seeing Sharikov snaps Ted back to reality, completely curing his insanity. That night, another mysterious suitcase appeared on our doorstep. And since that last one went so well, I decided to open it, and this just contained illness. Good ol' illness bag. On day 29, Timmy finally returns. We're hoping the expedition would be successful. Too bad that was not the case. What the heck? He didn't get anything? Oh my god, Timmy, you suck. And we are starting to run out of water real fast. So I send Dolores back into the unknown with just a gas mask to her name. On day 31, we find a home address on Sharikov's collar and consider if we should return him. And I do not care who this cat originally belonged to. I have so few things in this life to cling on to, I refuse to let him go. Day 34 and the survivor twins return. But guess what? They also need the map that Ted ruined, meaning both our escape options are stopped in their tracks until we can find another map. Way to go, Ted. On day 35, we have officially run out of water as Timmy dehydrates to death the very next day. We need Dolores to come home tomorrow or we're all doomed. Luckily for us, she does return, but unfortunately she was too late and Mary Jane has also passed away. Ted is still alive, but that doesn't much matter, as Dolores has not brought back a single bottle of water. It's looking like things are all over until we remember that there is oh god, an old folks retirement home nearby that we could steal from. But since we're truly desperate, we have no choice but to agree, earning us the achievement, The Dark Side. This is it. Whatever's in the retirement home is going to determine the future of this run. Whether we live or die, all comes down to what we can steal here, and it's a single deck of cards. I'm forced to send Ted out on one final expedition. He goes out into the unknown while Dolores fades away and dies. But by some miracle, some act of God, Ted secured 3 bottles of water. This could be it. Even though the rest of our family died, Ted alone will carry on the legacy. Held up for 69 days. I mean, that's pretty good on our second attempt. It takes me a few more attempts to get another scavenge that I'm proud of, but eventually I do. Based off my previous attempts, my biggest problem becomes actually surviving, so I decided to forgo most of the additional items I usually grab and focus solely on my family, food, and water. This lands me in the shelter with 5 of each, which sounds like a lot, until you realize 5 bottles of water only gets the family through 20 days in the shelter. The days are going smoothly until day 6 when someone is playing with matches again. Can you guys quit it with the matches? Is there nothing else to do in this shelter? I know someone's gonna comment now. Well, can you imagine just having to sit in the same small room day after day with little to no human contact? Yes, that is my life. How do you think I get so many videos out? I'm basically forced to save the radio here, despite the medical kit being one of the most valuable items in this run. And the Boy Scout handbook is there too. By now, you've probably figured out that there are 2 main endings you're trying to get in 60 seconds. The first one is the military ending, who will always contact you by radio. The second is the twin siblings ending, who will always contact you by the phone. They'll each have a set of 5 tasks for you to complete before they'll come to rescue you. So our goal is to try and give them everything they need while still surviving. And lucky for us, the military starts this process by contacting us very early on day 8. On day 9, someone left another suitcase on our doorstep, so I of course open it, and it's another illness suitcase. One of these days, it's gonna be something actually useful though, I just know it. On day 12, the military tells us the fallout around the shelter has disappeared, which is good, as by now, I've just got 2 bottles of water left, so we need to plan an expedition yesterday. I send Dolores out with a bottle of water, as Timmy is sick, Mary Jane is fatigued, and Ted, he just kinda sucks. Day 15 triggers the phone call event, and on day 16, someone bangs on our door asking us to open in the name of freedom. Now, if you know anything about me, this sounds like the exact opposite of a person I would enjoy, so I decided to decline their demand. On day 18, Dolores returns, to which she decided to explore the nearby trash cans. Usually, when we send people on an expedition, they go to an abandoned supermarket, the church, hunt in the forest. And with all those options available, Dolores decided to just rummage through some trash cans on our block. And that took her 6 days. Does anybody even want to survive here? I decided to send out Mary Jane next, as she usually does a good job out there. I give her the suitcase and the gas mask and push her on. On day 22, we ransack the old folks' home again, which gives us the map, but also an absolutely horrifying bloody handprint on the wall. Life in parkour civilization, truly crazy. That night, a merchant comes by and offers a trade. A rifle for our little padlock. Seeing as there's not a national padlock association that can bribe the government every year, I'm going with the gun. But on day 24, it turns out that reaping is not nearly as fun as sowing, because the old ladies from the retirement home have come and chased us down and are attacking us with their spiked umbrellas. I use our newly acquired rifle and break it. This family truly has no idea how to use basic tools. These old hussies are the least of our problems though, as on day 25, everyone is starving and dehydrated, and we've only got 1 serving of soup left. I choose to give it to Dolores as Timmy is sick and Ted is, well, him being alive usually is more hurtful than helpful. But it's just then that I hear the creaking of our door, meaning Mary Jane has returned. If everyone could just hang on through the night, we should be able to carry on. Oh, come on. We need some food, we need some water. Alright, well, I think Ted and the kid died. On the bright side, Mary Jane brought back a single can of soup and 2 waters and broke our gas mask. But I am determined to succeed in the girl boss shelter. That day, Dolores begins to homeschool Mary Jane, which teaches her how to build a literal rifle. Oh my god! I can use that to send out Dolores on an expedition while MJ holds down the fort. Things are looking grim on our food supply until a merchant comes and trades a can of soup for our stack of playing cards, which I'm happy to do. That deck of cards sucked anyway. It was missing Stuntman. Dolores returns and Mary Jane immediately goes crazy. I mean, I've heard of teenage girls hating their moms, but this is a little much. Our glorious maternal leader was able to grab 2 cans of soup, 2 bottles of water, a briefcase, and an axe. Now, if we could just solve MJ's insanity, we would be sitting pretty in the city. Coded note was left on our doorstep. It's all symbols and numbers, some sort of cipher. Dolores seems to be eager for this challenge. However, it's hard to tell how long this could take her and prove to be a waste of her time. Yeah, let's do it. Nothing's a waste of time. The daughter's going crazy. Frickin' Mary Jane, man. Mary Jane was caught sneaking out under the cover of night. Dolores was furious when Mary Jane revealed she was going on a date with a bandit boy. Mary Jane asked for a chance to contact her date via a written note. I feel like it's a bad... You know what? She's already crazy. Why not? If we lose her, we lose her. Yeah, I thought that might make her go on insane. Mary Jane wrote a note to the bandit boy, drew some hearts on tomato soup, and left it to drop it off. Came back angry and disappointed. Apparently, the boy was eaten by a mutant raccoon. Aw, poor Mary Jane. Things only get worse for Mary Jane as she slipped further into insanity, becoming crazier than she had ever been. Then, when she was at her absolute lowest, Dolores cracked the cipher. It tells her to go to a secret location, but she'll need to be gone for a few days, leaving Mary Jane all alone. That was when the spiders attacked. The little arachnids flood the shelter, and with no tools available to kill them, I'm forced to just let them take over the shelter, spewing their vile juices all over the place. But on day 39, I woke up to something I could have never expected. What the heck? What happened to Mary Jane? What the heck happened to Mary Jane? Oh no. Where did she go? Why has the light left your eyes? Why do you look like a Sesame Street character? During our vicious fight with dozens of spiders, one got lucky and bit Mary Jane. Oh my god, that's kind of funny because she's like Mary Jane, like Spider-Man. Yeah, Mary Jane's spider bite kind of turned her into a horrifying, disgusting mutant. But it's not all bad news as Dolores returned from her cipher trip with 2 cans of soup. And while in her mutant form, Mary Jane no longer requires water, which is good, I think. I decided to send Mary Jane out on an expedition because it seems like something that her mutant self would be good at. That's definitely the reason I sent her, and not because I'm afraid she's gonna eat Dolores. Dolores goes and steals from our neighbors, netting us 4 bottles of water. But I guess she was frustrated that the army hadn't reached out to us in a bit and fiddled with the radio until she broke it. Having not heard from the twins in a while, I start to get nervous whether we really have any way out of here. Oh, Mary Jane came back. Mary Jane returned to the surface. She said, oh, and she brought back some cards. Despite her horrifying new appearance, Mary Jane is actually an excellent raider, as not only will she never die on her expeditions, but she'll also never get tired, meaning she go right back out there after doing one. Mary Jane is restless and lonely. She really misses her music lessons and she would love to visit her high school again. It's risky, but it's not the worst idea ever. Let's do it. Mary Jane, nothing can stop her. On day 48, the sleazy-looking trader returns and we can invite Sharikov the cat back into our home. The following day, a group of mutants come to our door asking for some supplies and say that they promise to kill the next group of bandits who attack us if we comply. And since our lovely Mary Jane is now also a mutant, I choose to side with the disgusting creatures and hand them a bottle of water. It's never a bad idea to befriend more mutants. Maybe one day, Mary Jane could even settle down with a nice mutant boy and eat children together. Have children together. Mary Jane returns from her school trip, but unfortunately didn't find anything special there. But she did find the address to her old music school teacher, and she really wants to go visit him. Even though I have an inherent distrust of music teachers, I decide to let Mary Jane go. Mostly because if she eats him or something, it would be really funny. Turns out, dude is cool, and he somehow recognized Mary Jane and gave her a can of food and water. Wow. Unfortunately, the giant mutant girl can't solve all our problems though, as right after, Dolores gets sick. But she can solve most of them, as after venturing outside once again, she grabs us another radio. On day 60, we notice that Sharikov has been sneaking out of the shelter through a hole in the wall. We have the option to follow him, which I'm already pushing my luck with all these expeditions, so I decide not to. Which leads to a wild realization. We welcomed a probably crazed alleged scientist in our shelter today. Turns out Sharikov is not only an incredibly ill-mannered pet, but also the scientist's highly valued assistant. The cat's experience has left the doc struggling with his latest project. He expects us to help him out as compensation for keeping his helper away? The cat didn't care. Clearly wants to stay. The doc might be crazy, but maybe his knowledge is something that can help us out in the long run. Apparently the scientist is going to reach out for our help soon, so we'll have to be on the lookout for that. Sharikov becomes enamored by the checkerboard, but the second I let him play with it, he of course becomes disinterested in it. On day 65, we suffer our first bandit attack, but luckily I have the padlock to fight them off. And you know, things are actually looking really good. We've got plenty of food, water, and even defense mechanisms against the bandits. This could finally be the run where we make it. But on day 70, the bandits attack again, which I guess makes sense as I've been sending out Mary Jane constantly on expeditions. I can use the harmonica, which has the benefit of being the only bandit protection that you can use multiple times. Also, if you're wondering how a harmonica can protect us against a bandit attack, Dolores proceeded to play a melody so beautiful that it brought the bandits to tears. Touching. Cat wandered out of the shelter and returned with a small note from the crazy scientist urging us to help us with his new project. He's building some sort of vehicle contraption, but gave us no details. He only wrote that if all goes well, we can use his vehicle to get out of the wasteland. The doc told us to start stockpiling for the trip, starting with several bottles of water. You got it. We will stockpile those waters. But it seems like we might not even survive long enough to make it to the scientist's ship, as on day 74, another round of bandits come and attack us, which is our second and final use on the harmonica. Mary Jane returns from her expedition the next day, and she must have gotten the message that we need water for the scientist, as she brings home 2 lovely bottles. On day 76, the scientist comes to collect his whopping 4 bottles of water, but luckily for us, we have so much at this point that this barely puts a dent in our supply. And as if things couldn't get any better, Dolores is killed of her illness on day 78 by these doctors that I gave a bottle of water to like 30 days ago and definitely forgot to mention. The raiders attack again on day 79 using our final anti-bandit weapon, the axe. We're now completely defenseless to any more attacks, but it should just be a few more days until the scientist has prepared our vehicle. On day 81, the scientist needs one of us to go with him for a couple days as a test subject, which I have no problem sending Mary Jane to go do. I mean, she's already kind of one giant test subject. Oh no! Oh, nards. Oh no. Crap. Okay, we might die to bandits here. Oh, how did we make it out? We opened the door and saw a group of heavily armed raiders. We thought we were good as dead. Thankfully, our mutated friends kept their word. I forgot about them. All of their extra arms proved very useful for scaring the bandits away. Now, all we need to do is survive a few more days until the scientist comes and gets us. But here's where I would make an incredibly crucial mistake. Now, you see, Mutant Mary Jane actually has a special power that allows her to fight off any bandits that attack your base. However, I did not know this at the time. So fearing another bandit attack, I decided to make her go on an expedition to get us something to defend ourselves with, like the gun or the axe. However, the second Mutant Mary Jane leaves, the bandits decide to attack. And since Mary Jane is not home, they're able to come in and kill Dolores, ending the run. Yes, literally 1 or 2 days away from victory, and I lose. And I know that probably all seems short to you guys, but for me, that was a full hour. This was absolutely heartbreaking. I truly believed in the girl squad until the very end. But having gone through the game 3 times now, I had a pretty good general awareness of what each event entails, what to do, and what not to do. Which anybody who watches a lot of my videos knows that means I'm signaling to the audience that I'm about to fail many times in a row. My next run ends because of an interesting quirk within 60 seconds. See, it's not enough to just have someone survive in your shelter. You need to have one of the 2 adults alive to be able to play the game. So here, even though Timmy is still alive, since Dolores and Ted died, the game ends. My next run's going incredibly well, with tons of food, weapons, and even the military reaches out to us early. What do you mean the end? That was going so well. What the heck happened? Oh, too many days without water. Oh, was that day 15? Ah, crud. I forgot to give everybody water yesterday. I was like, what? It seemed like it was going so well. Whoopsie. My run after that also seems to be going well. I mean, we get Mutant Mary Jane, I finished the first 2 events for the military, as well as the twins, and Ted dies. This could be the one, and I forgot to give everyone water again. Yeah, I decided to switch to giving out water every 5 days to conserve our supplies. While everyone can survive that long without water, that is the maximum they can survive. So if you miss even a single day, everyone dies. And we all know that reading is not my specialty. As I go through runs though, I realize the central issue that 60 seconds faces you with. We've obviously learned that you want to try and minimize the amount of raids you go on. However, the way the 2 story paths work is they each have 5 events that you need to complete in order to be saved. However, these events can be different. Sometimes the military wants you to use the map in the first event, sometimes it's the flashlight. Because of this, you need such a wide array of items. You obviously cannot grab every single one in the opening scavenging phase, so you're forced to send people out on expeditions. Every time you don't get that single item you need, you have to send them back out. It's like a negative feedback loop of death. Not to mention all the other problems that you run into by going on expeditions. Like, take this run here. Everything's going really well, except for the fact that bandits literally stole Mary Jane. But besides that, really well. I have a ton of food and a good stockpile of items. But when the army asked me to send a message using a stack of cards, for some reason, I have to send out expedition after expedition until I get them. I finally do, which puts me onto the last military event that requires an item. But by this point, Timmy has also died, and both Ted and Dolores are both incredibly sick and tired. For their final request, the army asked me to use the axe to cut down a bunch of trees in a nearby park. I, of course, do not have the axe, but I can't really send anyone on the expedition to go get one since everyone's sick. Then I had to send Ted out of the shelter alone in a last-ditch effort to get one, which of course, he does not. He goes out on another expedition, and while away, the bandits get to our stuff, and we lose. Seems like no matter what I do, some random event ends up happening and I fail. But then I went back through my old runs and discovered something. They all had one unifying factor. Ted. Every single time, Ted has been nothing but a complete burden on our family. Coming back from our expeditions empty-handed, constantly breaking things in an insane stupor, and infecting his disgusting illness throughout the house. If I wanted to succeed, I needed to release the dead weight of our midlife crisis-ridden paternal figure behavior and switch to the true head of the household. It was time to become Dolores. Much to my surprise, playing as Dolores isn't just an aesthetic difference, there are actually some core gameplay differences between her and Ted in the scavenge phase. Ted has a higher max speed than Dolores, but his acceleration is much slower. And in the scavenge phase, you're constantly stopping to pick up items or assess what's in a room. So it's up for debate who's technically faster, but I find playing as Dolores generally means I grab a lot more items. On the downside though, when Dolores picks up Ted, she has to support his gigantic beer belly, so he takes up 3 hand slots as opposed to the 2 that Dolores would usually take. Another item I make sure to grab is the Boy Scout Handbook. While it can seem pretty useless for shelter survival compared to things like food, water, and guns, the Boy Scout Handbook is actually one of the best items in the entire game, and I'll explain why later. I grabbed the all-important med kit, but forget one of the best items in the game, the axe. Luckily for me, it's already down in the shelter. The first few days go by without a hitch, until on day 4, one of our pipes starts leaking green goo. But luckily for us, we have the Boy Scout Handbook, which not only cleans up the spill and repairs the leak, but doesn't break so we can use it later on. On day 9, our shelter is invaded by spiders once again. While I could kill them all with the Boy Scout Handbook, I decided to just let them stay and... Yes, Mutant Mary Jane, let's go! Nice! In case it wasn't obvious from last time, Mutant Mary Jane is far and away the best family member, so getting her this early is huge. The military reaches out nice and early on day 13, and the twins phone call on day 16. Though I didn't realize this at the time, I actually make a pretty big mistake the next day. I'm given the option to steal from the retirement home again, which I obviously do because old people suck. But stealing means the twin survivors view us as immoral people and don't want to have us in their village, completely closing off their ending. While this is of course bad, as we now have to go down the military path, it's not entirely a bad thing. Since the twins have shunned us from their life, we will no longer get the events from their ending, meaning our events from the military should come a couple days quicker than they otherwise would have. On day 20, we get some unfortunate news, as during the night, Dolores and Timmy have torn apart our most valuable asset, the Boy Scout Handbook. Rest in peace to the GOAT. On day 22, I can advance the military story forward, as their request involves using the map, which I luckily saved. But on day 27, I get perhaps the strangest event I've ever seen in this game. Someone has to leave and make their own luck on the radioactive wasteland. What? Okay, who should go outside, Ted? I don't care about you, Ted. I continue sending our little mutant out on expeditions, and on day 30, Timmy finds a stack of playing cards outside. On day 32, the military asks us to go outside and play the harmonica for them. Why the government decides who to save from a nuclear apocalypse is determined by the world's weirdest game of Simon Says, I will never know. But that's not the only use for the harmonica, as on day 35, the cockroaches in our base form a perfect line so we can serenade them with the instrument. We've got an achievement, the disco roach. The disco roach. Oh, did they go away now? That would be awesome. If you can't beat them, join them. We figured the roaches are craving more of our music, so we fulfilled their unspoken request. They started joyfully prancing around again, creating fun shapes on the floor. Then all of a sudden, they all left in one line. We thought the show was over, but they came back in a group carrying supplies on their mutated backs. Oh my god, we got food and water for that. Huge. Then, after completing all of the previous requests, the military asked us to send a single person to gather details on the government extraction. We're so close. On day 46, a group of firefighters try to stop us, but since Mary Jane was able to pick up a padlock, we're able to stay safe. Day 48 goes by, and a suitcase has been left on our doorstep again. And even though every single time I've opened this, it's just been illness, I am determined to see a different outcome. I know there must be some good left in the world, and that someone has decided to leave suitcases full of gifts on everyone's doorsteps, like a post-apocalyptic survival Santa Claus. If I have to believe in a reality without a survival Santa Claus, then I don't want to live in that reality at all. We got a gift. A gift. Receive a gift. Nice. What was the gift? We got a can of food. Nice. And as nice as it was to receive a gift, in hindsight, the 90% odds of getting sick from this event are definitely not worth the risk when the reward is just one single cold can of soup. Get rescued by the military? The end! Yes! Yay! We got saved! Nice! Yeah. Oh god, I don't think they're gonna take too kindly to Mutant Mary Jane. Safe at last! The military came to our rescue and took us away from this little hellhole. It was nice, we survived for 53 days and got saved! Yes! And while we've now completed our first full normal mode run, we've only gotten under half of the game's total achievements. So there's a lot more to be done. Next up, we'd have to win a round in each of the other difficulty levels, so let's start off with easy. Easy difficulty is, well, easier. So I can use this run to earn a bunch of achievements that I normally would not want to go out of my way to get, like this one for ramming Dolores into a toilet. After grabbing my supplies and hopping into the shelter, I realize in easy mode there are much more supplies waiting down here for you, giving me a solid stockpile of food and water. For this run, I'm going to be going for the twin siblings ending to get the achievement for that, and at first, things seem to be going pretty well. I send someone to get the phone, then go meet the siblings, give them our map, and even turn down a ransacking at the local school. I also get one of the strangest achievements in the game. This one's called New Order, and randomly, when you send someone on an expedition, they will decide to go to the police station. That's it. There's no like special items they get there, or like any other events tied reply to this, they just go to the police station. Okay. That aside, the twins contact me for the final event of their questline, Cockroach Alert. Their encampment has been overrun with cockroaches, and they need a way to kill them all off. I love that you can choose the gun for this. Like, in what world is shooting the cockroaches with a rifle the most efficient way to get rid of them? We lend them our axe, completing the final event, meaning now we just need to wait for our rescue. But as we wait, we completely run out of food, water, and Ted, who was supposed to save us, ended up dying on his expedition. With just one serving of water left, I decided to give it to Dolores and let Mary Jane die. Every morning fills me with anxiety as I wake up to see if Dolores had made it through the night or not. She's become completely dehydrated, meaning it's now or never. On day 54, we hear a knock at the door, and I cautiously open it to see ally with the other homeland wastelanders. Yes, the twins! The twins! For so long, we thought the world had really turned into a cruel, unforgiving, and hopeless place. But today, our views on it were challenged when the siblings and a few other people from their group visited us with an invitation to come live with them in their freshly built, fully functional camp. Yay! Unfortunately, everybody died except for Dolores. With that completed, it's time to hop into one of the game's other modes, challenge mode. There's two types of challenges, scavenge and survival. So let's start with scavenge. These are pretty simple. You're just gonna go through the normal house and you have to grab a specific set of items, usually under some cute theme. And hey, you even get a hat for completing them. Sometimes the items in the normal house are changed, like this one where you need to pick up like 40 axes, so they scatter them in every location in the house. They're all pretty easy, it's just grabbing stuff, but it still takes me around an hour to beat them all. Only for me to realize there's no achievement for beating all of these, and I literally only had to do one of them. Really not beating the illiterate allegations. I looked through all the survival challenges, and now knowing that I only need to beat one of them, I go with the one that looks the easiest, shelter alone. In this one, the family accidentally left Timmy behind while they went away on vacation, and now he's got to survive 30 days on his own. Who takes a vacation for 30 days? Irregardless, this challenge is much harder than any of the other scavenge challenges, and if I'm being honest, I don't like this mode at all. You see, since this is a survival challenge, you're given a random assortment of items. This directly conflicts with how the challenge works. You see, while Timmy's alone, he's being pursued by a crew of 2 bandits. Get it? This whole thing's like a Home Alone reference. But unlike normal bandits, these guys continually try to break into the house, and Timmy needs to find new and clever ways to deter them, like using the bug spray as a blowtorch or using the water to make them slip on the stairs. The problem is that all these events require incredibly specific items to be used, and since you're alone, you can't go on any expeditions, meaning that it really just comes down to which items you happen to spawn with. The only source of items you can get are when each of your family members will send you one gift throughout, but there's no guarantee that it'll be something that you need or just complete garbage. On top of this, the game still gives you regular events from the base game, meaning you might have to use one of the precious items you need to save for the leaky bandits for other things, meaning more often than not, Joe Pesci is gonna get you. This takes me a full hour, including many attempts where I get really close to the deadline, but just happen to be missing the final required item. Come on, we're so close. We're right there, folks. Timmy's crazy and fatigued, but that's okay. Come on, one more day. One more day. Just need one more day. We just need one more day. And he's just thirsty. Have some water, bro. Runless thugs are approaching. We didn't prepare anything. Oh, crap. Maybe they'll show us mercy. No, not after the hell they went through. They mean business. Let's just hope they slip on the ladder. Ah! No! No! I'm so close, please. No! What? Oh, everyone made it back. Oh, and the cat and the doggy. Oh my god. Dolores, Ted, Mary Jane, Pancake, and Sharkov finally returned and jumped the thugs from behind, biting, kicking, hissing, barking, and throwing punches and wrapped Christmas gifts. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Now let's unwrap the presents. Oh, it's soup. And more soup. They're all soup. We held out for 30 days. Nice. The next mode I have to go through is the scavenge mode. This is literally just the first part of the normal mode without the survival. Why they took the time to make this a separate mode is beyond me. I complete on all 3 difficulties and then move on to the other counterpart, survival. This is exactly the same as the apocalypse mode that you're used to, except instead of scavenging at first, you're just given random items. This is, bar none, the stupidest part of the entire game. I mean, I really love the main gameplay loop of this game where you have just 60 seconds to grab everything you need to survive down under. But when you take away the 60 seconds that's literally in the game title, it just becomes complete luck. The items you get are complete luck, the events you get are complete luck. It's just a lesser in every single way version of the main game mode. But it doesn't matter how much I dislike this mode, we'll need to beat it on all 3 difficulties in order to earn an achievement. But on the bright side, I can give everyone hats. Yay. This run though, I do something a little different. Whenever I get a prompt to kill the cockroaches, I decide instead to let them chill. Eventually, they're exposed to so much radiation that they eventually gain sentience. And once they're finally equals to us, I absolutely blow their brains out with the bug spray. Not only does this horrifying event send a message to all of roach kind that when you mess with Dolores, she will find the most cruel and torturous way to make you pay, it also gives me the Bug Hunter achievement. This does end up backfiring though, because the roaches end up making Dolores sick before we killed them, and this illness would go on to kill her just days before we're rescued. I'm able to run it back though and grab the twins ending, giving me the Enola Gay achievement for completing every single mode on easy difficulty. Now it was on to normal. After a couple failed attempts, I decided to just continually reset until I get a desirable array of items. Since I was barely able to succeed in regular normal mode, with random items I've got much less of a shot. So I decided to institute a new rule that would make a ton of my future runs much easier. This is Operation Ginger Supremacy. Yeah, if you hadn't caught on by now, Ted and Mary Jane kinda suck. Ted is by far the least helpful family member, getting sick constantly and going insane at the literal drop of a hat. Mary Jane has the potential of becoming one of the best family members in the game, which puts her above Ted, but if she doesn't become Mutant Mary Jane, she actually might be worse than him, as she very rarely comes back from expeditions. And if she does, she brings almost nothing. I'm also pretty sure she has the lowest sanity floor. So unless I have an achievement involving one of them, I'm going to be running Dolores and Timmy in all my runs now. So I think now would be a good time to have a short in memoriam for Ted and Mary Jane. Okay, that's good. On this run, the sleazy-looking trader returns, but I decide I don't want Sharikov now, so I turn his trade offer down. But then, as if by fate, we get an event that brings Sharikov to our shelter for absolutely free. I take this as a sign that it's about time to do the scientist ending. So I go through, reject to follow Sharikov, and this time the scientist requests 4 cans of soup from us, which I happily oblige to. I let the scientist experiment on an already sick Timmy, which was definitely not the motherly thing to do there, and then on day 72, someone's at the door. They're banging on it like crazy. Come on, scientist. Yes! Oh, nice. Reach for the stars. Oh my god, the scientist saved us. He wasn't insane after all. Holy crow. Crazy bastard is sending us towards the stars. Who knows if we'll reach our destination? To be fair, we're not sure what our destination is. The doc didn't tell us that. He kindly offered to take care of our shelter until we're back. And despite that sounding like a real happy ending, I'm like 90% sure that this guy is not even a scientist and just wanted to steal our shelter. Because on the very next screen, you can see his rocket crashed right outside our house. Well, I got the achievement and that's what matters. Speaking of achievements, let's knock out a real easy one by entering the shelter with just the checkers and deck of cards, giving us the Pro Gamer achievement, which is still to this day how my mom describes my job, and if she even understood 15 seconds of one of my videos, she would know that's not true. But with all that out of the way, it was time to grab perhaps the hardest achievement in the game, beat every mode on hard difficulty. First up, I would try my hand at just the standard apocalypse mode. The first change you'll notice is now in the scavenge phase, you get 0 prep time, just pushing you right into the timer. Since it's just gonna be me and Timmy on this one, I have a lot more time to grab quest-specific items, as I try to leave myself open to going down either the military or the twins path. I managed to grab 6 bottles of water and 5 cans of soup, and since it's just Dolores and Timmy, that will last us all the way until day 60. It's not all good news though, as on day 3, we're asked to choose between the map and the radio. This is particularly annoying as the map is used in both the twins and military paths, so this could possibly shut us out of any ending. Besides that, this run goes extremely well. It helps that by now, we're over 14 hours into this playthrough, so I've seen just about every single event in the game and know how to respond to them. As some events usually have correct answers, like this shower event. If you skip it, you'll get sick, but use the ammunition or the bug spray and it'll consume it. But if you use the gas mask, you can avoid getting sick and reuse the mask. Little things like that go a long way. The military path requires you to use the flashlight, which I don't have, so I make the executive decision to trade the radio for 4 bottles of water. This locks me out of the military path, but that's not a huge issue as I've already done the 3rd event in the twins path by lending them an axe. And the extra water I received from the trade means that I only really need to go on a single expedition the entire run. The twins' final request is to use the checkerboard for children's entertainment, which I give to them, and then just a few days later, boom, apocalypse mode completed on the hardest difficulty. While my game knowledge let me beat hard apocalypse mode on the first try, the same cannot be said for survival mode. Like, first of all, the amount of items you get is so low. Like, you would literally have to not even be playing the scavenge phase to get this few items. Not including food and water, you usually get 3 or 4 and that's it. So you need to decide right then and there which path you're going to go on based off your item. Because if you have items that work better in the twins ending and then let a radio take up one of your slots, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. And even if you happen to get all of the right items that you want, firstly, it's impossible you'd get everything you need for a quest, and secondly, they've also limited you to just 2 family members. Well, it's not a huge deal for surviving. I was already playing with just 2 people of my own volition. It's entirely possible for you to get 4 amazing items and then end up with Mary Jane and Ted. And don't even bother playing with those 2 freaks. So you just keep resetting over and over and over and over again. Then once you're in a run, you obviously need to go on an expedition because you don't have any of the items you need. And with the increased difficulty, it is very likely that you don't come back from the trip and have to start over. I cannot overemphasize how stupid this mode is. It literally defeats the entire purpose of the game 60 seconds. It'd be like playing Pokemon Sapphire, but there's no Pokemon. Or playing Oxygen Not Included without the 70 hours of tutorials you have to read. That start determines so much of your survivability, because in this game, missing just 1 item can cost you a run. Not having a med kit to heal a sick person, or not having the med kit for the insanity event, or not having the med kit when the twins ask for one. Okay, the med kit is just really important. Not to mention, even if you do survive for a while, sometimes a tank just randomly explodes on your street and you die. After so many resets, I finally get a run with a good item setup, though it comes with a heavy cost. The presence of Ted, who of course goes insane after only 9 days, which bites me hard in the butt 40 days later when he decides to completely abandon the family. It takes another good good 3 hours of resetting, but finally I get a good setup, and this time we have the almighty Dolores with us. Since I didn't spawn in with the radio, I decided to fully commit to the twins route for this run. And in typical hard mode fashion, just 8 days in and Timmy's already tired, and Dolores is already sick. But we do get to start the twins quest line just 10 days in when they reach out to us. On day 12, we get the shower event, to which I use our bug spray, curing both Dolores of her illness and Timmy of her tiredness. This could be the run. On day 20, the twins reach out again, meaning we only need to complete 2 more events to win this run. Timmy comes back from an expedition with 4 cans of soup, giving us all the food we'll need for the rest of this run. On day 23, I'm offered Sharikov for a can of soup, but I decline as I don't want a single thing to mess this up. But a couple days later, when I'm offered him for completely free, I decide to take him. It's incredibly risky as there's a couple ways that this kitty can completely nuke a run, but accepting him gives the shelter a huge sandy boost, and with sandy being the hardest stat to raise, I decide to risk it. The twins ask for a map next, which I don't have, so I send Dolores on an expedition to hopefully find one, which she of course doesn't, so I need to send the true raid god Timmy out, and he does. Then for the final event, they just want a chessboard, which I actually have. Oh my god, I'm gonna finally do it! All I need to do now is survive for a few more days and they'll rescue us. And with plenty of food and water to split, this is all but guaranteed at this point. But it's only then, when I'm finally filled with hope once again, that I watch it all crumble before me, as our little kitty Sharkov finds a fridge outside of the shelter and goes to lay down in there. I think nothing of it until the next day, another cat appears. And with his arrival, he steals one of our cans of soup. Turns out that the fridge is actually a magical cloning device. Slightly annoying, but whatever. We still have 75% of a can remaining. But that isn't enough for the magical fridge, as it hungers for a full can every single night. And since we aren't able to provide for the fridge... You're joking! No! No! Oh my god, all we had to do was be saved by the freaking twins. Yeah, this is an alternate ending to the game, and if you don't have tons of food to support the massive cat cloning, then the cats take over the shelter and you lose. Well, this does give me the Feline domination achievement. It was so not worth it. This could have easily been gotten any other time. It's not for another 2 hours that we have another run of note. At this point, my standard for an acceptable run have lowered so much that I run with this setup of Dolores, Timmy, the map, and a medkit. Here, I changed one key factor with how I play that allows me to grab much more stuff than before. I do not value Timmy's life. Timmy, the expert raider that he is, only serves one purpose to me, and that is to go on expeditions as long as he is not on the brink of death. I don't anticipate him making it to the pearly gates of the twin camp with us, but his sacrifice is appreciated all the same. The first twin event requires the axe, which Timmy thankfully brings home just a couple days later for us. But on day 51, Timmy dies. Oh well. Thankfully, before he passed on, he managed to secure a rifle for the 4th twins event, and then on day 62... Oh my god! That took so long. Yes! Yes! Oh my god. That's definitely gonna be the hardest achievement in the game. Now, while that was probably the hardest achievement in the game, we still got a few pretty difficult ones ahead of us. First off is to survive for 111 days inside the shelter. For this run, you don't need to win at all, only survive. So you can completely neglect items that you usually need for certain endings like the checkerboard or radio. Instead, just focus solely on getting Timmy and as much food and water as you can hold. Enter the shelter with every bandit defense you could ask for, a medkit, 7 soup, and 9 water, which in theory should sustain us for 90 days. The main thing I prioritize here is not doing expeditions and surviving on my own. See, the main reason you need to do those expeditions is to get the one item you're missing. In terms of food and water, there's actually plenty of events that offer both, like trading, the Wolverines, the abandoned tank, etc. I make sure to pay off the mutants for bandit protection whenever I'm given the option to, too. While I'm trying to survive these 100 days, I also make sure to say yes to any of the events about exploring your shelter, like the manhole one or the secret room behind the map. This eventually gives me the no stone unturned achievement. And on day 64, true disaster strikes.
Oh, Timmy died. That's okay. We didn't really need him.
An event that would fundamentally shake me to my core. I may never get over it. But while surviving, there's one other achievement I aim for. On day 62, mysterious sounds start appearing from our radio, and upon investigating, it turns out it's from a woman stranded in space. I continue listening, and a few days later, the same broadcast comes on in which the woman now screams in pain as she's torn apart. But the craziest part about this is that while she's being torn apart, she recites her full home address. What kind of insane individual does that? Imagine Granny just starts having a heart attack and you're like, 2732, that's my bank pin! Irregardless, I decide to not investigate the address, and then the alien who killed the lady sends us a little message in the stars. How cute. Even murderers have feelings. This gives us the not alone achievement and also some secretive Morse code that when translated says, and it's a freaking Rick and Morty reference, there could be no greater punishment. But with Timmy dead, that means we'll need to survive 40 days by ourselves, which means absolutely no expeditions. I end up trading my radio for 4 bottles of water, securing the rest of the supplies we'll need for this run. Now we just gotta make sure that Dolores doesn't go insane or get sick, and Dolores got sick. Yeah, I get the shower event, but had none of the required materials to solve solve it. And with no medkit in sight, we'll just have to hope that her illness doesn't get worse for the next 30 days. On day 90, the old lady's attack, which uses our last defense weapon, meaning now if bandits come for us, we're cooked. But on day 93, something strange starts happening. Every single day, there is no event. I mean, that's not insane to happen here and there, but this starts happening for like 10 days in a row straight. The only thing that keeps happening is getting the shower event that I cannot complete over and over again. I think we had just completed every single event in the game, and since we locked ourselves out of the twin storyline by stealing, the military storyline since we had no radio, and we had never gone on a single expedition so bandits can attack us. So after an uneventful 2 weeks, all right, give her food and water, come on. It's the last day. Let's go. For the next achievement, we need to win a run while always saying yes. Since we have to win the run, I stock up on my normal run winning items, axe, playing cards, map, gas mask, etc. And just Timmy the goat. Now yes, you heard that correctly. I have to say yes to every single prompt, even when the family wants to eat the wall mushrooms on day 2. I don't know what's stranger, the fact that they ask or the fact that it actually worked. Now there's a small asterisk next to this achievement though. You see, while you do need to select yes every time you're offered it, unless the event shows an X or a check, it doesn't count. So when the trader comes, you can skip the event. While you're technically saying no to trading here, the game doesn't count it. I start off by going for both endings, but on day 66, I'm given the steal from the elderly event, completely ruining my chance at the twins ending. Lucky for us though, the military comes up a few days later, giving me the yes man achievement. Now we need to perform the inverse and always say no. Now this achievement is definitely easier since so many events that you'd normally say yes to have bad outcomes anyway. However, you're probably wondering one thing. Since you have to say no to everything, how do you let the twins or military in when they knock on your door to save you? Well, thankfully the devs thought of that, and once you say no to their knock, you get the achievement even though the run is still technically going. With that, the achievements we have left are based more on random events, with almost none of them requiring you to win. And because of that, I switched to playing Ted for a reason I'll explain later. Now, pretty much all the following runs are going to start the same way, with me sending Timmy on an expedition on day 3 with the gas mask. Then when he returns, I immediately send Ted out. This is because we're working towards the tank ending. Remember the tank from all the way at the beginning of this video? Well, this is actually a goal that you build towards over the course of multiple runs. Every time you go on an expedition, you have the chance to discover the vehicle you've been working on in the past. If you discover the tank twice on your expeditions, then you now have another chance to roll an event where you do something to improve your tank. There are 6 improvement events in total, and each time you do it, it's all just a chance to discover it, meaning we need to just go on like constant expeditions if we want this achievement. But luckily, that can be tackled in the background while we focus on other things. First and foremost, it's to right another blunder we made at the very beginning of this playthrough. Remember that beast that I shot on my very first 60 seconds run? Well, if you instead use the flashlight, you'll learn that it's a cute dog. No, I'm a monster! Unfortunately though, the dog is scared and runs away from us. But a few days later, he returns and wants a can of soup, which I'm like 99% sure dogs can't have. Oop, nope, this guy on TikTok says it's cool. And no one has ever lied on there before. The family decides to name the dog Pancake, and a few days later, he comes back again. Seems like he wants to lead us somewhere, and if we take the map, we'll find 3 cans of soup. Oh my god, Pancake is a beast. But it's only after the highest peaks come the lowest valleys. As several days later, Pancake comes to us badly wounded. If they kill this dog after letting me get attached, I'm gonna uninstall this game. Thankfully, we're given the option to use a human medical kit on him, which miraculously works, letting Pancake move into our shelter and giving us the Friend in Need achievement. But it's time to get a household that mirrors my own and get a dog and a cat, so we let Sharkov move in. But Pancake literally hates Sharkov so much that he decides to leave the shelter altogether when she moves in. That makes sense. I mean, look at my dog and cat interacting. They literally hate each other. But with that achievement done, it was time to start a new run as we were on to the final section of the tank. For this event, you need to fill the fuel tank, which takes a whopping 5 soup cans. This took me a few attempts, as having that many soup cans this late into the run can be difficult. But this time I have them and boom, tank achievement. Look how beautiful it is. For the next achievement, we have to experience one of the 2 endings that we haven't done yet. For this one, we need to accept Sharkov from the sleazy looking trader. The kitty then has a random chance to one day start playing with the wire she found on the wall. If we choose to investigate the wire, we find that it connects to a rusty truck in our neighbor's driveway holding 2 men in black suits. Apparently, they had wiretapped our shelter. A few days later, they knock on our shelter and admit they're government agents who were tasked with monitoring the last living survivors. But if we help them with some of their top secret missions, they'll get us into a really good government shelter. A couple days after that, they asked us to go on a successful expedition. Fortunately, Timmy is tired and Dolores is really sick, which does not create ideal expedition conditions. But it took long enough to trigger this ending, so I decided to just send Raidmaster Timmy and hope it goes well. Thankfully, it does, and Timmy returns a few days later. The recon mission was risky business. We had to visit neighborhoods that were dicey even in the best of times. The area was full of mutated cats and dogs fighting each other in gangs. For our last task, the government agents want us to provide 4 bottles of water or soup to some agent in the field. Funnily enough, water is much easier to come by in this game despite needing much more of it, so I give them that. Now all we need to do is wait. Unfortunately though, while waiting, Timmy died. But on the bright side, the agents were men of their words and bring us to the giant bougie shelter where someone even changes the family poop bucket for us. I mean, I say family, but it's literally just Dolores. Next up, it was time to conquer that stupid feline fridge that had done us in before. For this ending, you need a ton of soup cans, so I make sure to almost entirely focus on that during the scavenge phase. This lets me start the run with a whopping 10 cans of soup. We're offered Sharkov on day 27, and after saying no to all his events, he finds the fridge once again. By this point, I only had 8 cans of soup, which I know isn't enough. If we were gonna win this, we would need a miracle. Supplies are scarce, morale's low. Yeah, let's take from the retirement home. We're now richer in some supplies. For some reason, we don't feel so good about it. Oh my god, so we got 4 soup cans. Okay, all Dolores needs to do is survive. We'd go on to snag our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th cat. There's so many of them. Do they have names? Oh, Myth, Dermy, Matt, Vera, Baron. Cute. This continues on until there are a whopping 10 cats in our shelter. They just keep coming. We give up. Please make it stop. The cats have instituted their supreme reign over our shelter. With them as our guardians, we don't need to live in fear or despair any longer. The days of happiness are coming, and we'll be handsomely rewarded with relative peace and enough soup to feed our hungry bodies as long as we remain obedient and serve them. We welcome our fluffy new overlords. This unlocks our final ending and the Cat Lady achievement. Now, the next achievement is actually pretty easy. We just need to break every single breakable item in a single playthrough. So during the scavenge phase, I make sure to grab all the items that can break, which are the flashlight, the rifle, the gas mask, the map, medkit, and the radio. I also make sure to pick up the suitcase, as that can help monumentally with this. I get an extremely lucky break and get an event where I need to take the gas mask outside, to which it immediately breaks. I'm also playing on hard mode to increase my chances of items breaking. The easiest way to ensure they break is to bring them on expedition, so I pack Timmy a suitcase with the map, flashlight, and rifle inside. Conveniently enough, on his return, Timmy's sick, so that eliminates the medkit. Though he did successfully bring the map back, so I send on another expedition, this time with Dolores. And while the radio breaks, somehow the map has survived both trips. And on the 3rd go around, Timmy finally breaks it, earning us the Danger Zone achievement. However, I don't end this run here and instead keep playing it. With all the expeditions we went on, the bandits are bound to come, which will help with our next achievement. See, when the bandits raid, if you have multiple family members alive, they have a chance to just take one hostage, which you need to happen for the Liberation achievement. I get lucky and they do take someone hostage. Only problem is that they take Dolores, instantly ending the run. Whoopsies. To decrease the odds of that happening again, as well as helping out with the future achievement, I start bringing the entire family into the shelter once again. Oh, Mary Jane, how no one missed you. The first thing I start working on is the vehicle quest line. While we already completed the tank, if you send one of the kids as opposed to the adults to investigate the truck, we will instead be given an ice cream truck to fix up, which for some reason is a separate achievement, despite being the same in every other way. That will of course be worked towards across multiple playthroughs, so in the meantime, we get the event that finally reveals why I've been playing as Ted all this time. This is the Ted shaving event. After day 50, Ted has a chance to have a random event where he tries to shave using the axe. However, Ted sucks at this, just like he sucks at everything else in this life, and is very likely to fail shaving, like we see here, meaning no achievement. On day 71, the bandits return, and I let them take Timmy. A few days later, I'm given the option to storm their base, rifles ablazing, and get our son back, giving me the Liberation achievement. The next achievement, we need to have the entire family go insane at once, so I load in on the hardest difficulty. While I initially thought it was best to just go through a ton of runs and hope everyone went crazy, eventually I realized a much better method. You see, if you have the med kit with you in the first 20 days, you have an insanely high chance to get an event where denying them using the kit makes everyone go insane. I continually reload for this event, eventually get it, and grab the Cuck's Nest achievement. Now we've got just 2 achievements remaining, the ice cream truck and the beard, and while both seem pretty easy, it takes me 4 hours to get them. The ice cream truck is just really inconsistent. With the amount of expeditions you need to go on, you're usually finding sickness, tiredness, and bandits. It becomes so difficult to stay alive, after a while I just switch back to Dolores. But eventually I'm able to completely repair the truck and drive off into the sunset with it. From there, it was just about solo surviving with Ted until we get the shaving event, which rarely ever happens. I have no idea why they made this event so rare, but as a mustache man that has been told to shave by everyone and their grandma, I feel your struggle, Ted. I do finally get the event and get Ted to successfully shave for the achievement. I think it's kind of funny how they didn't create a new sprite for Ted with a shaved beard and long hair. They just have him also cut his hair with the axe, I guess. That just leaves one last achievement. Run around your house into 1,037 objects, the sex number. I'd already gotten this pretty high throughout all my playthroughs and can rack this up easily by wedging the laundry hamper up against a wall. With that, we've now 100%ed 60 seconds. In total, it took me around 35 hours, which is not too bad. I really enjoy this game a lot, but it kind of starts to lose its charm once you understand how every single event is gonna end. I'd say to try and get all the endings, but don't go for full completion. Thank you all for watching, and let me know what game you want me to 100% next. And don't even bother commenting grounded, I know you guys want that. Bye! And thanks to Holzkern for sponsoring today's video. Check out the link in the description down below, as for a limited time, they've got up to 30% off the beautiful jewelry on their site. Check it out so you can secure the perfect gift for that special someone in your life.